I stopped looking at old Polaroid pictures after that night. The last photo we took is still sitting in a box at my parents' house. I haven't touched it in years. 5 of us had gone camping in a state forest to spend one last weekend together before summer ended. The campsite was perfect. A fire pit, a picnic table. Nothing unusual. It wasn't even fully dark when we started taking Polaroid pictures. Someone photographed the tents. Someone took pictures by the fire. We laughed at how blurry half of them turned out. As night settled in, we cooked sausages over the fire, roasted marshmallows, made coffee, talked about work, girlfriends, and old memories. Everything should have felt relaxing. Instead, something felt off. A few minutes later, something cracked deep in the woods. It sounded like someone stepping on a thick branch. We all turned. Nothing. Jake grabbed a flashlight and shined it into the trees. Only trunks. We convinced ourselves it was probably a deer. About 10 minutes later, another branch snapped, much closer this time. Then a sudden gust of wind rushed through camp. The fire bent sideways. The treetops swayed. Then it stopped as suddenly as it had started. The air became completely still again. "There isn't supposed to be any wind tonight," Emma said. Nobody answered. I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was standing just beyond the light from the campfire, watching us. Every time I looked, there was nobody there. Around midnight, we finally went to bed. Everyone was exhausted, except me. Every little sound kept waking me up. Branches, leaves, soft footsteps, or maybe it was just my imagination. Eventually, I drifted off. I woke up a few hours later. The sky was still completely black. I checked my phone, 3:47 a.m. I couldn't fall back asleep. I turned on my flashlight and, lying inside my tent, pulled out the stack of Polaroid pictures, just to give myself something to do. The first few photos looked completely normal. Then I reached the last one. It showed all of us sitting around the campfire. Ryan's tent was behind us, and beside it, someone was standing there, tall, completely dark, no face, no features, just the silhouette of a person. I stared at the picture for several seconds, trying to understand what I was seeing. Then I slowly looked toward the wall of my tent, carefully unzipped the entrance and peeked outside. In the faint moonlight, I immediately noticed that Ryan's tent was open. I don't remember getting to my feet. I only remember running. I pulled the tent open. It was empty. Ryan's sleeping bag was still inside, his backpack, his boots. Everything was there, except Ryan. I screamed his name. The others came running. We searched the woods with flashlights until sunrise. Nothing. No footprints, no blood, no signs of a struggle. Just the forest. A few hours later, the sheriff arrived with a search team. They searched the area all day. Dogs, drones, volunteers. Nothing. It was as if Ryan had simply ceased to exist. His case is still officially listed as a missing person. His parents never stopped looking. Neither did we. Sometimes I wonder if we missed something that night. Then I remember that photograph, because when I finally looked at it again a few weeks later, the dark figure wasn't standing beside Ryan's tent anymore. The scar on Mia's arm should have been impossible. She still has it. Just a long, thin white line running across her forearm. None of us can explain how she got it that night. 5 of us were driving to a remote campsite we'd found online. It was supposed to be one last weekend together before everyone scattered for work and college. About 20 minutes from the trailhead, we saw a man walking alone along the forest road. He looked to be in his late 30s. Dirty hiking clothes, small backpack, no car. He smiled when we slowed down and said, "Lost my group. Mind if I tag along until morning?" He seemed harmless, maybe a little quiet. We made room. His name was Daniel. The campsite sat beside a narrow creek surrounded by thick pine trees. There wasn't another tent anywhere nearby. The afternoon passed normally. We pitched tents, collected firewood, cooked dinner. Daniel barely helped, but he watched everything we did. Every now and then he'd ask strange questions. "Which tent are each of you sleeping in? Who usually wakes up first? Do any of you sleep heavily?" We laughed, assuming he was making awkward conversation. Later, he asked if anyone would notice if one of us wandered off during the night. That joke didn't land. After sunset, the forest felt different, not louder, quieter. Even the creek sounded distant. I caught Daniel staring into the trees more than once, not looking at anything, just waiting. Around the fire, we boiled water for tea. The metal pot had been sitting directly over the flames for almost 15 minutes. Without thinking, Daniel reached over. He grabbed the glowing handle with his bare hand, held it, poured himself tea, set it back. No flinch, no burn, no smell of scorched skin. We all stared. He noticed, then slowly smiled. "What?" he asked, smiling. Nobody answered. He pulled his sleeve down over his hand. Soon after, everyone claimed they were tired. Nobody admitted why. Inside my tent, I couldn't sleep. Something kept crunching through the leaves outside. Slow footsteps. Stopping, starting again, then nothing. I convinced myself it was deer. A minute later, I heard whispering. Not words, just a low voice moving between the tents. Then silence. I must have drifted off. The scream ripped me awake. It was Mia. I burst outside. Daniel was on top of her. He wasn't punching. He wasn't trying to stab her. He was just gripping her arm while she struggled to pull away. His face looked wrong, completely blank, like he wasn't angry or excited, just focused. Jake tackled him. The two of them crashed into the leaves and started struggling on the ground. Someone yelled for the emergency flare. I grabbed it from the truck. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped it. I fired. The flare exploded overhead. The entire campsite turned bright red. Daniel froze. For the first time all night, he looked frightened. He covered his eyes, then ran, not toward the road, straight into the trees. We heard branches snapping for maybe 5 seconds. Then nothing. No footsteps, no breathing, nothing. None of us slept. We packed before sunrise and drove away without speaking much. The police searched the area later. They never found Daniel. No abandoned gear, no footprints, no missing person matching his description. Mia needed 12 stitches in her arm. The doctors couldn't explain how one person could leave a wound like that without using some kind of weapon. Sometimes she jokes about it now, but she always stops smiling when someone offers to invite a stranger to join a camping trip. The sheriff told us later that we were incredibly lucky. I've thought about those words countless times. The three of us had gone camping in the forest for a few days. We'd been there before, and it had always been peaceful. The first day was exactly what we'd hoped for. We hiked, grilled burgers over the fire, stayed up talking late into the night, and slept better than we had in months. The next morning, we spent hours swimming in the river, skipped rocks across the water, relaxed on the riverbank, made coffee over the campfire. By evening, everything still felt perfect until the sounds started. At first, they were so far away that we ignored them. A long, drawn-out howl echoed somewhere deep in the woods. Then another. A moment later, it sounded like someone screamed. Then came a low, mournful groan. We looked at each other. Jake tried to joke that it was probably coyotes. Even he didn't sound convinced. A few minutes later, the sounds came back. Closer this time. Another howl. A sharp cry. Something that sounded disturbingly close to a person sobbing. Then, heavy, raspy breathing drifted through the darkness. None of us said a word. We put the fire out early and crawled into our tents. Nobody really slept. The noises kept moving around the campsite. A long howl, a sudden scream, low moaning. It felt like several things were circling us just beyond the trees. Then, without warning, everything went silent. The kind of silence that makes you hear your own heartbeat. Then came running footsteps. Someone shouted. I heard one of my friends scream. I threw open my tent and ran outside. Several men dressed in dark clothes charged straight at us. They weren't trying to rob us. They weren't saying anything we could understand. They were attacking us. One of them rushed me, but I jumped out of the way. Another tackled Jake to the ground. I watched him wrap both hands around Jake's throat and start choking him. Jake clawed at his arms, trying to breathe. The two of them rolled across the ground through leaves and branches. For a second, I thought Jake was finished. Then he drove his knee up as hard as he could. The attacker cried out, grabbed himself, and rolled away. Run! We didn't hesitate. The three of us sprinted into the forest. Branches whipped our faces. Roots caught our feet. Behind us, we could still hear shouting. None of us looked back. Eventually, we reached a road. A pickup truck stopped. The driver saw how terrified we were and immediately let us in. He drove us straight to the sheriff's office. Later that night, we returned with the sheriff. The campsite was in ruins. We gathered what little gear hadn't been destroyed and left. A few days later, the sheriff called. Police had arrested a group of poachers who had been illegally hunting deer in the area. According to the investigation, they had been heavily intoxicated and under the influence of powerful psychoactive drugs. They weren't just aggressive, they were completely detached from reality.